Hello, and welcome to my tutorial. My name is Leah Brooks, and I will be discussing GIMP, a free open-source photo editing software. GIMP is used to manipulate images and create graphics. It can do a lot of the same things that Canva, a popular online graphic design interface, can. For example, you might use it to make flyers or social media posts. Except GIMP is a lot more powerful. For example, while Canva technically has a background remover feature, this tool can be imprecise and leave bits of the image you don't want. GIMP, on the other hand, allows you to have complete control over what parts of the image you remove. It also has a myriad of brushes and filters, and you can have more granular control over an image's colors and contrast. GIMP essentially has all of the advanced features Photoshop has, but while Photoshop has a hefty price tag, GIMP can be downloaded and used completely free. With this in mind, here are the outcomes I will be focusing on in this tutorial. We'll learn how to import and manipulate images using GIMP's most basic and useful tools, use filters and adjust an image's color and brightness, and cut out parts of images and delete the background. Let's get started. Depending on the project you have in mind, there are two ways to begin. First, you can simply import an image. You can do this by going to Files, clicking Open, and then choosing a file from your computer, or by simply dragging and dropping a photo from your computer's files. You can also choose a specific background size or template to start with. This is helpful if you want to create a flyer or other specific print material. Go to File, and then choose New. From here we can choose from a preset template, or we can choose our width and height. We can also use different units, such as pixels or inches. The top left-hand corner contains different tools you can select from, with more options just underneath. These change depending on what tool you select. Right-click on any tool to choose different versions of the tool. Some of the most commonly used and important tools are the Move tool. This allows you to pick up an image and rearrange it. The Crop tool. This does what you think it would, crops an image to your liking. And then there's the Scale tool. This enlarges or shrinks an image. It will show you the image size in pixels or any other unit. In the top bar, we have options like colors and filters. In colors, you have all the typical options that photographers might be familiar with: brightness and contrast, saturation, etc. To adjust, pick an option and use the sliders or input a number. These definitely require some playing around with to get acquainted with which color adjustments you like to make. Right now, I'll make this image pop a little bit by increasing the saturation and the contrast. Filters also have many different options that can be played around with. For now, I'll select Blur, then Gaussian Blur, and adjust with the slider so that this image can act more as a background to my final product. From here, I'll introduce a secondary image. Like before, I'll drag and drop it from my files. Now, because we have multiple images in the same project, we are dealing with layers. These are shown on the bottom right-hand side. We can click on each layer to select and work with it, rearrange the layers by clicking and dragging, or hide layers so that we can work on one at a time. Right now, I'll use my Scale tool to make my top image a bit smaller. Then I'll click the eye and hide the background layer so I can work more closely with the top one. The next tool I find particularly useful is the Scissor Select tool. Here I can outline a specific part of an image by clicking and adding dots and creating a line at the edges of the part I want to cut out. The line will attempt to adjust automatically, but you may need to adjust it a little bit by clicking on parts of the line and moving it around. Once we've outlined the part we want to keep, use the Move tool to select it. Then we'll right-click, choose Select, Invert, and then use the Delete key on your keyboard to remove the background. Now we'll unhide our bottom layer and adjust from there. We might even use the Brush tool to add a pop of color. Brush options are in the top right corner. We can also change the color here and adjust the brush size using this slider. We might also add some text. To save a project and be able to work on it again later, go to File, Save As, and save the file as the default .xcf. To finalize the project and save it as a PNG, JPEG, or other file type, go to File, Export As, and type in the preferred file extension. Lastly, GIMP is great for quickly scaling an image to fit on our websites. Simply import an image, go to Image, Scale Image, and choose the size you want it to be. Click this button if you want to lock the aspect ratio. Now that my tutorial is complete, here are some discussion questions. Have you used other photo editing programs before? How does GIMP compare? Is the interface any easier/harder to navigate? Would you recommend GIMP to a colleague who has never used a photo editing software before? And other than creating flyers or images for websites, how else would GIMP be useful in ILS settings? Thank you.